If you'd like to be able to listen to the show without ads and have full access to bonus content, that's an option. To find out how, please go to dogmanencounters.com/podcast. Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us for tonight's special Saturday night episode of Dogman Encounters Radio. Really appreciate you being here. If I sound like I'm slightly compromised, it's because I am. I'm under the weather here. I was hoping I'd feel better tonight than I felt yesterday, but I actually feel even worse. But the show must go on, so I'm still glad to be here. Before we bring on tonight's guest, though, I've got some information, an update I want to share with you, an important one at that. And it's one of those updates I really hate to give. If you've noticed that episodes 534 and 543 are missing, well, you're not crazy. It's not just you. They are. I took them down. Those are the episodes where Cody came on and talked about the alleged female dog woman that was supposedly hanging around his property, the one he called Sasha. Well, I can't really remember exactly how long it's been, but there was someone who left a comment that said that they had seen those sketches on a DeviantArt page, I believe it was, and that the guy was a sham. Well, I see comments like that coming in all the time where people are just making up comments like that. Well, not too long after that comment, I guess it was about a week after that comment was left, there was a message I received, an email that I received from a lady who told me that that was the artwork that Cody had claimed to be his own and that I had posted on those two episodes. She notified me that those were, or told me, I should say, that those were actually her sketches that she created, and gave me a link to her website, which can be found at E as in Earl, H as in Henry, L as in Larry, B as in boy, E as in Earl, E as in Earl.com. EHLBEE.com. I went to that website, and if you visit the normal desktop version of that website, if you click on where it says concept art, and then click on where it says werewolves, boom, a page pops up where every sketch that Cody claimed to have created is right there on our website. If you are using your phone, if you just go to EHLBEE.com, I think if I remember right, if you click on the menu in the upper right-hand corner, then there's going to be a werewolves option. Click on that, and some of those sketches that you see are going to ring some bells and be pretty familiar. Well, needless to say, I'm more than disappointed in that. I mean, unfortunately, there are people that will lie to get attention for various reasons. Some people are just miserable in their lives, and they see it as a release if they get the chance to lie about something that brings them a lot of attention. I don't know why Cody did that, but I'm really disappointed that he made up these lies about Sasha. I really am. I do the best I can to only bring true stories about encounters to you, bona fide Dogman eyewitnesses, but yeah, unfortunately, no one's perfect. There have been guests in the past where I've kind of been, well, more than kind of, I've been skeptical about whether they were telling the truth. But when I started doing this 10 years ago, I made a promise to myself. I would much rather play the fool the way I am tonight because of Cody's lies. I would much rather play the fool and bring someone on the show who is lying their way onto the show than to turn someone around at the door who actually is a bona fide Dogman eyewitness. But due to how they delivered the story to me, due to how they did whatever, I mistakenly thought that they were lying about their encounter. Again, I would much rather play the fool and bring someone like Cody on, who's just trying to lie their way onto the show, than to turn a bona fide eyewitness around. That's why things like this do happen from time to time. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Full disclosure, I think it would be wrong if I found out that he was lying or anyone was lying, and I took the episodes down and I didn't come forward and admit my mistake. unfortunate mistake. Anyway, let's move on to business for tonight. Tonight's guest is James. Let's bring him in here now. James, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, how you doing?
Uh, Well, I've been doing better than I am right now, but I mean, it could still be worse. How about yourself?
Uh, Doing pretty good. Uh, just a little bit nervous about doing this, but got to
That
get it out there.
that's natural. Like I told you before, I've had guests come on the show who had their own podcasts, and they were so nervous, I swear I could hear them vibrating. They were so nervous, shaking in the background. So, yeah, that's just a normal part of this. This doesn't make you any different from most people. It really doesn't. But, yeah, having said that, please give us a brief bio on yourself, James.
Uh, I'm 44 years old. I work at a semi truck plant here in Virginia. Been married to my beautiful wife for 6 years. We've been together 8 years. Uh, Love video games. I'm a musician and love to fish. Never really been a big hunter, but would go out and hunt. But just lazy old country boy likes to sit at home and chill, cook, watch my sports on Sundays, and get up, go to work the next day. That's pretty much about it.
Huh, nothing wrong with that at all. If any of you listening are wondering if James actually is as nice as he seems, well, yeah, I can tell you that he is. We had a good talk, and yeah, this guy is salt of the earth type material. He's a really good guy. He is. But before we move on, James, I want to put something out there. We've got a guest in the live chat, Jessica Jones, aka the Cryptid Huntress. She's a really nice lady who's got her own YouTube channel for her
Yes,
podcast, and she's going to be going live. She's going to air a live stream tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So if you like cryptids and ghosts and other paranormal content, highly recommend you check her show out. She's,
yeah.
like I said, salt of the earth. And again, her show is called The Cryptid Huntress. So we hope you'll check that out. But moving
Oh, I
forward, as far
follow her. I follow her on YouTube.
she's got a great show.
Yes, she does.
She
Very
really
down to earth.
yeah, well, no doubt about that. Well, James, from what I understand, you listened to an episode of the show where the guest gave enough details about where he lives where alarm bells started going off. Please expand on that for us.
Uh, yes. I was at work one night, just listening to the show, and then I started hearing him because I don't know if I should use his name or not. Uh,
Probably best to keep him anonymous. You're
yeah,
right.
yeah, because I don't want to bring up any bad memories for him. And it just started going off, and I was like, hmm, this sounds familiar. This, okay. And then I start listening more. Oh, wow. And it just, everything just started clicking from the eyes to pretty much the size of this thing. Of course, the way our encounters happened was completely different, and his encounter is close to where I live at, and mine was about 2.5 hours away in the state. But still, at the same time, it was just wow. Now this is starting to make sense, and kind of okay. I brushed this off for 20 years. Now it's hmm starting putting pieces together, and then I talk to you and explain to you. It's like, huh, wow. And it just, and then I started doing my own research as well. And it's, how to put it, creepy. The best way to put it.
Yeah, that is a good way to put it. No one should have to go through things like that, like what you did and other eyewitnesses have, that's for sure. You're freaked out by something Monty said, if I remember correctly. Please tell us the story behind that.
Um, where he lived at in the county that he lived in. Of course, I live in the next county over. Uh, I had family. Well, called them family. My cousin lived with them. We all grew up together. Just all good old country boys and country girls. And where he lived at, we're just about 2 miles, 3 miles down from the road that you would go to get to his house. And we ran around those fields. We played in them parts of the foothills of the mountains. And when I heard his encounter, it just kind of, wow, here we are down here doing this. And then this is out here running around. And it just kind of creeped me out because, it's pitch black out there, you know, pure country. And because there's nothing scarier than being in the dark with no light, because you hear the slightest noise. What is that? What's this? Whether you're the 10-foot tall and bulletproof type, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be scared because you don't know what's out there. And hearing that, it just, wow. Here we are out there playing, having fun. Just running around, even after we got older, doing stuff that we shouldn't have been doing. And it's like, uh-huh, great. That's nice to know that was out there. Bobcat, bear, okay. But here, wow, that kind of really hit home. It was like, wow, that's just, it's crazy to hear something like that, and it's right there. Luckily, we never seen nothing. Never had any problems or anything like that. And unfortunately, he did. My heart goes out to him. And that just, one of those things. You could be on this side of the fire and not get burned, but the next person on the other side can. And it's just a shame that he had to experience that, and I didn't experience that there. But I did experience something, which we'll get to here in a little bit, and just makes my skin crawl thinking about that. Just wow.
Yeah, I can understand why it would make your skin crawl. It's one thing to have an experience and feel like it's just a one off, but when you find out that someone's had an encounter just on the other side of the mountain from where you live, boy, that really does send a cold shiver down your spine, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it's uh, it's like wow. I've fished here. I've hunted a little bit here, and it's like, great. You know, I just started to laugh in just because to make myself feel better and like, try not to make a bad subject sound so, you know, try to make it a little bit lighter than what it is, but it's not, because it's a horrible subject when you think about it, and it's just horrible when you have one of these encounters and you just try to do what you can to push forward. That's like me and you talk. That's why for 20 years I kind of, which we'll get into that here in a little bit. But yeah, after hearing his story and putting things together, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. This is what I saw.
You're
So,
right. You're right. Yeah, you're not crazy. You did see what you saw, but there's a good twist to that. The fact that Monty had his encounter just on the other side of the mountain from you, and then of course you had the encounter on your side. But like you said, you've been out fishing and hunting and just doing all sorts of things, but you have yet to have a single scratch put on you by a dog man in the area. You've never had a single hair in your head harmed. So what does that tell you? They've had plenty of opportunities, but they still haven't actually done that to you. So that should be a positive thing in your opinion.
oh yes, it definitely is. It definitely is. It just, I don't know. It kind of makes me just. I'm one of the, how to put it, one of the lucky ones, and but when we get into the counter, everyone's going to be like, "What? How are you that lucky?" It's like, well,
Well, I'd rather be lucky than good.
yeah. And do I want to run into another one? No. No, 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 no. I do not want to see another one. What I saw was good enough, done, and I don't want no.
Yeah, that
Good
doesn't
enough
make
for me.
well, yeah, that doesn't make you any different from any other eyewitness. I can understand why you'd feel that way. We've been alluding to your encounter. Let's get down to brass tacks now. Please tell us all about that encounter now, James, and give us every last detail that comes to mind.
All righty. Well, me and a friend, we went to a football game in Washington D.C. in November 2005, and went up there, watched my favorite team come to Washington to play. Had fun, left. Unfortunately, we didn't know Baltimore had a game too that night. So we're stuck on the Beltway, and, which was kind of nice because, it was like, oh, check it out. There's the Washington Monument. We're enjoying the scenery going around the Beltway. Finally, it was like, I'm not dealing with this traffic. We're getting off at this exit, and we're going to take the Civil War trails. And it might be a little bit quicker. He was like, okay. And I was like, I've been down these roads before. So we're traveling and going down these roads and uh, listening to music, talking about the game, how much fun we had. And we, stop, get something to eat, the whole 9 yards, just enjoying it. He's off that Monday. I'm off that Monday. So we wasn't really worried about getting back at a decent time. Well, we coming down the road. It's pitch black, but my bright's on. You can see, the horse farms, the cattle farms, everything. And all of a sudden he's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "That up ahead." What? I'm watch. He's like, "Look at the fence line. What is that up ahead?" I don't know. It's probably a cow, or a horse or something. We get closer. We get closer. He's like, "That thing's eat whatever it is. It's eating something." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's probably eating grass." And then as soon as we start getting closer, we start seeing the outline of this thing being on all fours. I'm like, "I think that's a cougar." He's like, "Oh no, that's an awful big cougar." And then as soon as we rolled up, pretty much as we was rolling up to it, it turned around, kind of looked, and we seen the eye shine, or it was like this yellowish amber color. Okay, we're not thinking nothing about that. We're still looking at the size of this thing. And we get up closer, and it turned its head. We get up closer. Finally, all right, we almost come to a complete stop. As we're getting ready to come to a complete stop to see what this is, when it lifted its head up, it almost had the head of it looked like a hyena almost, pretty much, by the muzzle and the way the ears was. And you could tell it was eating because whatever was in its mouth was still hanging out of its jaws, just what little bit we saw. And then as soon as it started to rise up, best description is on your Facebook page, how you kind of have the creature kind of in a crouch mode. Now picture that rising up like, "Who are you?" And when I locked eyes with that thing, and I'm in the driver's seat, he's like, "What is that?" And all of a sudden I stepped on the gas and we was gone. I was like, "That was a cougar. That was a cougar. That was a cougar." And I haven't had no trouble. Still, uh, still creeps me out, especially after having hearing everything. And we're still going down the road. He was like, "What? What?" It was a cougar. I keep telling him it's a cougar. He knew it wasn't a cougar, but I'm playing it in my mind. It was a cougar. It was a cougar. That is what we saw. And that's pretty much what I did for 20 years. And it just, terrifying. But luckily, I was able to brush it off, never think about it. And then as soon as I started listening to the show, wait a minute, this, that, oh no, oh no. And then that's when I reached out to you. Hey, what do you think? So that was pretty much the encounter.
Yeah,
And
like I told you. Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, like I told you, what do I think? I think cougars don't have heads that look like hyenas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't stand about 7 feet tall when they stand up. Of course, the one that you saw, you say it never did fully stand up when you were looking at it. But when I asked you how tall you thought it might have been when it did stand all the way up, that's when you said probably about 7 feet or so.
Yes. That
Yeah.
would be about the description.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Excuse me. Please continue.
Yeah, I mean, that was just the best way I can describe it, because, like I said, there was a hillside there by that fence, which I'm sorry, I forgot to tell about the fence. But there was like a hillside with a fence where we saw it at, eating. I'm sorry I left that out. I hope nobody gets mad about that.
Oh, no. You're amongst friends here. Don't worry about that.
But so I would be an estimated guess about at least 7 if it stood all the way up.
Yeah, it's a safe bet to say that you don't have any melanistic 7 foot tall mountain lions when they stand on their back feet, that is, are hanging around there with heads that are shaped like a hyena. So, yeah, the
Yeah.
options of what that could be are pretty darn slim.
And then even the black bears here, they, even standing on their hind legs, I don't even think they get 7 feet. And plus, their muzzles are longer too than what a hyena's is. I think. I could be wrong about that. So don't quote me on that. I could be wrong.
No, you're right. Yeah, they are a little bit longer. They are. What made you decide to finally come forward and accept what you saw after 20 years, James?
Uh, Pretty much after just researching, because where I had got into cryptics, and because also too, 2005, I had never heard of Dogman, and just researching and enjoying the subject, loving to talk to people bringing it up, and then somehow I stumbled upon your show, which was a great thing because I love listening to it. And then I started hearing a lot of people's encounters on your show. I'm like, huh. And then I start thinking back, uh huh, huh. Okay, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe I did see what I see. And then that's when I finally decided I'm going to reach out to you, tell you what I think I saw. And if you get back to me, maybe oh, okay, yeah, you seen a cougar. Or, it could have been a black bear. Yeah, because I wasn't claiming that's what I saw. But well, after hearing everything, let me get back in touch with him. Or get in touch with you, I'm sorry. And then you got back in touch with me, and then we talked. It was like, oh, okay, then. I'm not crazy. So that's pretty much what made me want to come out of, I guess you could say, my shell and start talking about it. Was after I kind of, okay, I will want to know what I saw. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm not, okay, I'm not crazy then. So that's pretty much why I finally decided to come out and talk about it.
Well, as you know, we're glad you did decide to do that. And If I remember correctly, there was something about its eyes that kind of threw you for a loop.
Yes. Uh, about the eye shine. Now, of course, every animal, the eye shine only happens when it hits their eyes. Now, of course, when we saw, when we first started seeing it, and it kind of looked, you see the eye shine, and Thursday night after work, this is when it really started hitting me, and it kind of freaked me out because I can't get rid of the eyes. Is the car was past it. The headlights were past it, and I'm looking at this thing in the driver's seat, looking out the passenger window. It's complete black, pitch black outside, no other lights, just the lights from the car. Like I said, we're in a Chrysler P2 Cruiser. How am I able to see those yellowish, amber looking eyes staring right back at me after I done seen the head of it? And then as we're slowing down and almost completely coming to a stop, and then those eyes are still glowing like eye shine looking at me. That has, after it dawned on me, I'm like, oh, wow. And I think I've heard of reports of their eyes glowing. And I don't know how to explain that. I just, after that kind of dawned on me, it kind of, that's kind of creeped me out.
Well, yeah, that'd creep anyone out. The of interest, the road that you were on at the time when you had that sighting, you told me that it had been built on top of an old Civil War trail. Do you happen to know what the name of that old Civil War trail was?
Um, Not exactly the name of the road, but I do know it was Route 15 because we had got off in the Woodbridge area in Northern Virginia and took a back road, hit Route 3, which goes through the Chancellorsville battlefield and Spotsylvania. And then we hit 15 so we could go down to Charlottesville. And of course, there was all kinds of little skirmishes and everything, but Route 15 and little roads all around there was trails that they would use to carry ammunition, march the troops, and everything. And but that was the route road that we was on, so that way we can get to I-64. And believe me, after we seen that, he was like, "Nope, I'm not waiting around." Boom! I have never. I don't think I lit off the gas until we hit I-81 off of 64. I was gone. I just wanted to tell my buddy, "Yeah, you want to get out and take a look? You go right ahead. Don't mess with that cougar." Of course, we don't think it was a cougar now. But Route 15 was the route that we was on.
I knew that municipalities have built hiking paths and other things like that on top of old railroad tracks. Well, of course, they pull up the tracks, and where the tracks went through, that's where they built the trails and everything. But I never really knew that they actually built roads on top of Civil War trails. So that was news to me.
Well, it's not exactly on the trail. What I meant by the trail was you take the roads and you can go to visit the battlefields, but some of them are actual like wagon trails or it's just a road that they built to so you can get to them, to the battlefields and stuff. It's which Route 3 is the more famous one because of Chancellorsville. And then Route 15, I think the actual trail was more, the actual Civil War trail was more off of that road. And they have it, basically you could take it and go to one of the sites, but you got to get off of it. But it was also one of those they had built back in the old days that can be traveled. And of course, I could be wrong, but I know there was a lot of skirmishes and everything, and a lot of ammunition from Union and Confederate was traveled up that area because it's how to put it, perfect ambush slash easy access because you're in between the mountains. So you don't look for that, and then you do look for it, if you get what I'm saying. Of course, now it's easy access with technology that we have to drive through there. Back then, it wouldn't have been.
Yeah, it's much easier to do now than back in the olden days. That's for sure. How did your buddy handle that encounter? Did you have more trouble with it than he did, or vice versa?
he he kind of did the same thing I did. He knew what he saw, and I was the one that blowed it off, and he would bring it up, and I would just, no, no, you saw the cougar, let's not talk about it anymore. And finally, he just stopped, and we never talked about it again. And that's pretty much about it, but he knew what he saw, and he was trying to tell me, and I was the one who would not believe what we saw. So, and as far as I know, it never bothered it never bothered him, and it never bothered me. But of course, if I was to talk to him, well, you was right. That wasn't a cougar, even though it took 20 years to figure this out. So it never bothered him that I know of.
Yeah, if you guys didn't talk about it any more after that one time, then it's hard to say. He might have had a lot more trouble with it than you ever found out. But yeah, I guess we're never going to know the answer to that question. People are different, they respond in different ways to experiences. Do you think that in your case, the fact that you, after that one conversation, that was it, you never talked about it again, was that a good thing when it came to you dealing with that experience, or was it a bad thing?
Uh, in all honesty, I want to say, I guess the way it was brushed off, I want to say it was a good thing. Just because I was able to live my life and go on and not worry about anything. But as of now, eh, it's kind of bothersome, but not bad. Just to me, I'm trying to take it as it's one of those things because it happened so long ago. Now, if it happened yesterday, be a different story. I
Yeah.
would probably have to go to the store and buy the pins.
Yeah, if you did have to do that, that'd be understandable. It would. It really would. I'm kind of mixed on this. I normally get a pretty good beat on an eyewitness's feelings about their experiences after having the amount of conversations, the amount of time that we spent talking about that encounter. But with you, I'm not really sure where you stand. Are you able to head into the woods and not be compromised? Or when you do go in, is it kind of a problem for you?
Uh, no. Every time I've gone into the mountains to do my trout fishing or anything, little game hunting, it's never bothered me. Now, I will say there has been times where you're just where I'm like, man, I feel like somebody's watching me or something. I guess just where I've blocked it out for so many years and not let it really bother me and just moved on with my life. I guess that's why I'm able to still go out and trout fish, still go out in the woods and do small game hunting. I guess that's why. But there has been times that I'm like, I feel like something's watching me. Looking around, don't see nothing. That don't mean anything, but I've had that experience, but it ain't never bothered me.
Well, that's good. I'm so glad to hear that you are able to head back into the woods and do whatever you like to do without being compromised. That definitely beats the alternative. When you were driving past that Dogman, though, did you ever get any vibes from it that made you think that it might have had some special qualities or abilities that were above and beyond what a normal flesh and blood creature would have?
Well, when you're that big, uh, what we've seen, I think if it really wanted to stand up and jump over that fence, um, which, by the way, if I didn't mention that, there was a fence for the listeners, a little wooden fence. But just it standing up, starting to stand up, if that thing really wanted to go to the car and get us, it could have. That's why I stepped on it and was like, nope, I'm not waiting around to see what this thing looks like even more. We're gone. Cause I forgot to say that how close we was. We was about uh, anywhere between 4 to 6 feet away from it, and it was behind the fence. And that thing, if it really, what we saw as big as it was, the silhouette, if it really wanted to pounce and jump on us, it would have destroyed that little car in no time. But it was just because the look of it, when it raised its head looking at us, it's like, I'm eating, you better go on. And that's what we did. But if it really wanted to do something, it could have done some damage. That's for sure.
Oh, I'm sure it could have. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. Before we move on, I just want to thank Robert Wolf and Lily Lewis. Both of them gave donations to the show. I really appreciate it. Like I've said before, though, guys, it's awfully nice of you to do that and to support the show. But I mean, I'm paying my bills. If you could just maybe save your money and just focus on trying to be maybe that much more supportive of the eyewitnesses, the guests on the show, that'd be the best payment I could possibly have. So, again, thank you so much for your donations, but you really don't need to do that. If you just, like I said, focus on supporting the guests, that'd be the best payment that there is. Well, let's transition over to asking some of the questions that the guests have for you here, James. The first one up is from Glenn Kamada. Whoops, give me a second here. Thank goodness for mute buttons here. All right, the first question up is from Glenn Kamada, and his question is, did you see a tail?
No, I did not. I wish I could have. Well, I wish I could have seen more, but as dark as it was, you really couldn't make it. We could see the silhouette, but I don't remember seeing the tail. So I'm sorry to answer that way, but I did not see a tail. If there was one, I did not see it.
Oh, there's no need to apologize. You had so much going through your mind, you never expected to see the thing right there. And when you did see the thing, it shocked you so much. Looking for little details like that, that'd be the last thing on your mind. So that's totally expected and understandable. The next question is from Ryan M. And Ryan's question is, did it react to the vehicle driving by at all?
It did as we was coming down the road, and when my buddy first spotted it, it was almost like it was, I guess the best way to say, it's like it'd been tamed. I'm not saying it was tamed. It was just like, okay, here's a vehicle. Went back to eating, and then as we slowed down to get a closer look at what we thought was a cougar, and of course it was not. And this thing just like, okay, here I am. I'm eating now. Go before I fully stand up. It was just calm, like it had been around vehicles. Because most wild animals, like a bear or bobcat, cougar, well, deers are kamikaze. They'll just run right into you. They, this one just, this thing just was like it was normal, like a person on the side of the road. Okay, there's a car. Okay. Like it didn't matter.
Oh,
So it didn't act like it was scared at all.
yeah, I'm sure
So
it wasn't.
yeah, when you're that big and plus you're eating, I'm yeah.
These
But
things don't fear much at all, so it doesn't surprise me that it wasn't afraid of you. It really didn't have anything to fear.
exactly. I mean, when you're that big, you know, here in Virginia, the biggest predator that we got is a black bear. They say cougars don't exist, but they're here. But still, a black bear is big, but they'll run even if you clap your hands at them. So this thing was not scared at all.
That fits. That's how it normally goes. It looks like Polsky Ogorki has the next question. They want to know if there was any noticeable odor from that dog man.
Uh, no, because it was in November and it was actually pretty cold that day. Not as cold as it has been here on the East Coast. And we had the windows up, but we didn't smell any kind of odor or anything like that. If we did, we'd probably summed it off to horse poop or cow poop. Just growing up in the country, that's probably what we would have thought if we would have smelt something. Or I've been down to Savannah and I've smelled the paper mills down there, the sulfur smell, but there was nothing like that. So, no, there was no smell.
Considering the fact that you're in a car and moving
Yeah,
past like that, I highly doubted that you smelled it at all. But sometimes the stench is so strong you can actually smell it through house walls and inside of a car with the windows up still. So you never know. It's a good question.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely, definitely. But no, we didn't smell nothing. If we did, I don't remember. I really don't. But as far as I know, I don't remember any kind of smell at all. So I'm sorry to answer your question that way, bud.
Oh, don't apologize. We just want the truth. I don't think you did smell anything because if you did, with the way these guys smell, when they decided to project that stench, you'd remember it. So that's why I'm pretty darn sure you didn't smell anything that night. It looks like Andres Carrizales has the next question. Andres wants to know, why do you bury your experience so deeply? Was there a story about the mountain or the usual stigma about seeing unknown creatures?
That's a good question. I Well, the reason I buried it for so long was because I was not sure of what I saw. And I brushed it off as a cougar sighting. So that's why I just I brushed it off, didn't let nothing bother me. And then when I started researching into cryptics years later, I was 25 at the time of this experience, and I'm 44 now. And I just brushed everything off. And then after, like I said, started researching cryptics and going into everything, and I started hearing everybody else's experiences. Huh. So I contacted Vic, just ask questions, you know, and it just started. Finally, it was like a snowfall. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Wow. This is okay. This is what I saw. But that's why I brushed it off for so long because one, I didn't know what Dogman was. Two, I just brushed it off as a cougar experience because they say there is no cougars in Virginia, and they are. So that's just what I did. I just brushed it off like it was nothing. And now I'm just coming out talking about it and basically getting answers. And I'm really glad the community is asking me these questions so I could try to answer them the best I can. Let y'all know it wasn't that I was terrified or anything like that. It's just I brushed it off for so long, and then finally I want answers. And that's when I got a hold of Vic, and Vic suggested this, and this is where we're at now. Hopefully, I answered your question.
Yeah, that was a good answer for it. The next one up is from Klejnot Nilu, and they want to know, James, have you ever used a Ouija board? And also, what kind of video games do you play? Oh, I'm sorry. He also wants to know, the full question is, have you ever played with a Ouija board or had any paranormal experiences? Also, what kind of video games do you play?
Uh, in all honesty, I've never used a Ouija board, but I have been around and seen some things and paranormal things, which I really don't feel comfortable about talking about, which I'm not meaning that to be mean. It's just some things people are comfortable about, some people ain't. And I'm just not ready to talk about that. But as far as video games go, I love all the Final Fantasies. I love the Legend of Zelda games. Uh, Pretty much any kind of RPG, football, baseball, sports games, anything like that. It doesn't matter. I'll give it a try. If it's on PS5, PS4, PS3, PS1, I'll play it. I'll give it all a try. But as far as the paranormal experience, uh, I'm not really ready to. I've had experience and I just don't really want to talk about that right now. Not yet. But I will keep you in mind and let you know when I'm ready to talk about that.
There's never any pressure to talk about anything that you're not prepared to talk about at any given time. So, yeah, please take your time. This next question up is from Joyce Stone. She was featured on the show where she talked about that dogman that was trying to rip its way into the bathroom with her and her fiance. Her
Oh,
question is, yeah, that was a really intense one. Her
thanks.
question is, you were 4 to 6 feet from it before you saw it. Was it down behind the fence trying not to be seen?
No. We To clear this up, we actually seen it from a distance. The 4 to 6 feet was when we got in front of it, when we come past it. And that's when it kind of went up off of all fours and was crouching, doing a little crouch thing. Like I said, the best thing, like on your Facebook page, how it's kind of crouched. It was starting to raise up, like, who are you and why are you interrupting my dinner? Because we seen the silhouette from a distance. And then when we got closer, that's when I guess that's when you could say poop hit the fan. It was like, uh oh. When
Huh.
we noticed what, that's how I was able to see the head, because the lights kind of hit it. What in the world? And, but no, we spotted it from a distance, the silhouette. Couldn't tell what it was. And then when we got up closer, what is this? What is this? And then all of a sudden, I'm not hanging around. I'm stepping on the gas. We're gone.
Yeah, can't say I'll blame you at all there. Joe's got another question for you, and that is, the dogman I saw was 4 to 6 feet through a glass. Nothing looked like a cougar. Do you think your mind blocked how it really looked so you could deal with it?
That's a very good possibility. That is a very good possibility. Because people with trauma, they always find an escape to block it. I could have probably done that not thinking about it. And that's probably what I did. It's a cougar. Go on and just ignored it. And that's probably what I did. Because you know how, like, some people can, I'm trying to find a good way to put this, like, if you lie so much you actually believe what you're lying about, that you actually done this. Oh, I played tennis in Wimbledon Stadium in front of the Queen. And you lie about it so long you actually believe it. And that's good possibility. I never really even thought about that. Just blocking it out, and it's a cougar. Just blocked it out and went on about my business. Uh, Thank you for asking that, and I hope you're doing okay.
Yeah, Joe's good people. Really nice lady. I just hate the fact that she had to go through everything that she did. And yeah, thanks again to everyone who contributed to her GoFundMe page. I mean, that was just so nice of you to support her the way you did. It's really appreciated. It really is.
Oh, I know that broke my heart hearing about that. I I pretty much wanted to grab a baseball bat and come down there and start whooping some butt. You know,
Yeah, I know what you mean there. I've got another question for you from Cookies and Cream. Oh man, that sounds good right now. Their question is did the creature have any spots or markings on its head and or coat?
uh, not that I seen. I didn't see no markings at all that I couldn't tell, cause I didn't even see really where it was so pitch black, just the headlights hitting it. I didn't see any kind of markings. I really didn't even get a good catch of the color of it. It was just, it was so quick, but yet I still remember seeing some stuff, like the eyes, the head, but I do not remember seeing any markings. I'm sorry, but I really don't remember seeing any.
Oh, there's no need to apologize. You saw what you saw, and that's all there is to it. This next question is from Beverly Yeager, and she wants to know, did you see any muscle mass on the Dogman at all?
Um, as far as getting up on it when we seen it, I guess you could say feeding and lifting its head up, I kind of remember around the neck, just bulkiness. But as far as coming down the road where you could see the silhouette of it, it was just massive. Almost like a cow almost coming down the road. Is that much what it remind you of? But as far as like actually seeing the muscle mass or its paws or hands or claws or anything like that, no. All I pretty much got to see was its head and its eyes. That's all I really got to see. Because I'm also driving. I'm watching for deer too and trying to stare at that thing. So that's really all I really got to see was its eyes and its head.
Yeah, if you would have stared at it too hard, you might have run the risk of going off the road. That would have been a whole new set of problems there. So glad that
Yeah.
didn't happen. That wouldn't have been good at all. The next question and the last question I'm going to ask is from No More Funland. And they want to know, have you had any dreams about this dog man since the encounter?
Um, no, I haven't. But since the eyes, without the glowing eyes, that's kind of stuck with me, and I've had, I guess, a dream or two the past 2 nights. Nothing bad, just seeing the eyes, and that's really all I've had. No bad dreams and nothing like that, and that's just about it. Because after that fact kind of kicked in, that's kind of creeped me out a good bit. you don't have eye shine and you're seeing these eyes that's glowing right back at you. And it's like, So that kind of come back to play, and I've kind of had those dreams, but I try to not let it bother me. And especially now, it's not going to bother me because I'm getting it all off my chest. Thanks to Vic and all of you for listening and asking the questions, and I'm answering the best I can. I hope that's the best answer I can give for you.
Well, that's a good answer. It really is. Well, before we get out of here, James, do you have any closing comments you'd like to put out there for us?
Yes. If you have an experience or anything, or like I did, you don't know what you seen, question it. Ask somebody. Don't hold back. Don't worry about ridicule or anything. It's like when I reached out to you, I didn't come out and say, "Hey, I saw a Dogman." Hey, I don't know exactly what I saw. I think it was a cougar, but uh, everything coming on with hearing the show, everybody's testimonies and hearing what's going on. Don't be afraid. If you can't get a hold of Vic, uh, I'll put my email address on here, and you can at least email me, and I'll try to. Don't worry, I'm not trying to do a podcast, but I'll do something, to help anybody out. But don't be afraid. Come out, talk about it. Even if, like me, if Vic would have told me, "Nah, you seen a cougar." Oh, okay, thank you. Don't be scared. Come out, talk about it. Talk about your experience, whether it's a dog man, Bigfoot, anything like that. Come out and talk about it, and people will love you, and they'll still be your friend. Don't worry about it. That's about the best thing I could say.
Well, it goes without saying, you really have handled this awfully well. And you had those questions about it possibly being a cougar at first when we first started talking. But like I said earlier, cougars don't have self-illuminating eyes. They do have eye shine when there's a light source present, but their eyes most definitely are not self-illuminating, and they don't have heads like a hyena, and they don't stand even close to 7 feet tall on two legs, and they're not Vanta Black either. So there are a lot of disqualifying features there for it to possibly be a cougar. So I think we know what it must have been, unfortunately. The good news is, like I said, that you've responded so well to the experience. So we'll just play the glad game when it comes to that.
Yes, I'm very glad, and I hope I never have another experience. One's enough, and I'm glad it's confirmed. And well, like I said, those eyes, man, those eyes just. Like I said, after I thought about it, and I'm surprised I didn't bring it up. And when we talked before, you didn't even ask about it. I'm like, wait a minute, my headlights were past this thing. How is its eyes still shining? But that's one of the things that you don't think about right off the bat. But now that is, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, excuse me. I just said, oh, of course.
But yeah, now that is the one thing it has kind of bothered me here the past few days when I started thinking about that. Wait a minute, the headlights are past it. I'm looking out the passenger side window, and its eyes are looking back at me after I kind of seen it, and they're, like you said, self-illuminating. Nope, gone, boom. You think I'd had a Dodge Hellcat the way that PT Cruiser went out of there?
Oh, I'll bet. I don't blame you. James, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing the details of that experience with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me for being on the show. I did not think he was going to ask me that. And I'm sorry we had to do it on Saturday night because of my work schedule. And but thank you so much for uh, answering my questions and helping me, and then coming on here, and really thankful for the community asking questions, and thank y'all so much. And man, so much love to y'all, all of you. I appreciate it.
You're a good
Really
man,
do.
James. I hope you never change. I do. But having said that, thanks again so much for your time and have a great night.
All right, you too. Thank you so much, and love you all.
Oh, you're welcome. Take care. Well, that's another one in the books. If you actually have had a Dogman encounter and would like to speak with me about it, doesn't matter if you want to speak in private or if you want to come on the show and share it with the listeners, then please go to dogmanencounters.com and submit a report. If you do that, then I'd be more than happy to reach out to you to schedule a phone consultation with you. So please keep that in mind. But everyone listening, thanks again so much for your support for the eyewitnesses. Thanks so much for listening and have a great rest of your weekend. Good night.